What's the most shameless double standard you've ever encountered? My teacher, Mrs. Davis, had 2 classroom rules posted above her whiteboard. No eating during class, and no interrupting while others are speaking. Rules everyone had to follow, except her. She'd unwrap these super crunchy granola bars during our tests, chewing with her mouth open while glaring at anyone whose stomach dared to growl. Once, Emma sneezed and accidentally dropped a mint from her pocket. Mrs. Davis made her write, "I will not eat in class," 50 times during lunch period. When Kevin asked if he could eat his apple since he had diabetes and needed to keep his blood sugar stable, she sent him to the principal for challenging authority. His parents had to come in for a meeting, and even after the school nurse explained his medical condition, Mrs. Davis only reluctantly agreed to let him eat discreetly at the back of the room. Meanwhile, she'd munch through an entire bag of baby carrots during our tests, the crunching echoing through the silent classroom. The interrupting was worse. If a student raised their hand, she'd wait until they put it down from exhaustion, then call on someone else with a smug, "Patience is a virtue" comment. But she'd constantly cut us off mid-sentence with, "Actually," or "Let me stop you right there." She had this annoying habit of asking a question, and when someone started answering, she'd immediately talk over them to give her own correct answer. During group discussions, she'd hover behind us, listening in, then loudly interject her opinions over ours. If we pointed out we were still talking, she'd say, "I'm the teacher. I'm adding valuable context." But if we spoke while she was talking, even to ask a clarifying question, it was an immediate detention. Last week, during my presentation on climate change, she interrupted me 8 times. I counted. The first time was 10 seconds in when she corrected my pronunciation of Greta Thunberg. Then she questioned my data sources while I was still explaining them. Every time I tried to build momentum, she'd jump in with, "What you're failing to understand is," or "That's not entirely accurate." By the 8th interruption, something in me snapped. I'd spent weeks researching this presentation. My hands started shaking, but I took a deep breath and said, "Mrs. Davis, could I please finish my thought? The class rule says no interrupting while others are speaking." The classroom went so silent you could hear the clock ticking. "Excuse me? Did you just interrupt me?" Her face turned crimson, the vein in her forehead pulsing. "That's a detention." "I was just following your example," I said, pointing to the rules poster that she'd hung up herself on the first day of school. "How dare you speak to me with such disrespect?" she shouted, her voice cracking. "Get out and go to the principal's office." The principal, Dr. Simmons, listened to my side of the story with surprising patience. He even asked to see my presentation notes and seemed impressed by the work I'd put in. Instead of detention, he told me to wait while he called my parents. That evening, Mom and Dad listened to my story without interrupting once. Dad, usually quick to lecture about respecting teachers, just kept nodding thoughtfully. "This has been going on all semester?" Mom asked when I finished. I told them about Kevin's apple, Emma's mint, and the countless times Mrs. Davis had silenced students while talking with food in her mouth. The next day, Dad showed up during class. He's on the school board and occasionally visits classrooms. For the next 40 minutes, she was unusually quiet, letting students finish their thoughts. But old habits stop hard. She interrupted 3 students in 30 minutes, talking over Zoe's book report and dismissing Jason's question as irrelevant to today's discussion. Each time, Dad made a small note in his little black notebook. After class, they had a private chat in the hallway. The next day, there was a sticky note on her desk that only she could see. Dad wouldn't tell me what it says, but Mrs. Davis doesn't eat in class anymore. She calls on raised hands promptly, and when someone's speaking, she actually listens.